dry climate, plenty of hills, some rivers, quite an arid forest. The scene faced on a regular basis by a Proto-Dravidian speaker. First off, this video is probably not going to make a huge amount of sense without watching part 1, so click on this link and I'll wait for you to return. Welcome back, or maybe you never left in the first place. Anyway, now for part 2. There are in fact two competing ideas, which I mentioned before, about which culture probably spoke the Proto-Dravidian language. As both of these traded extensively with each other, they probably ended up with a lot of shared vocabulary, which is the biggest part of the problem for which of the two most likely actually spoke the language. These two cultures are the Ahar-Banas culture and the Indus River Valley civilization, and by using the reconstructed vocabulary of Proto-Dravidian as well as archaeological evidence collected from both these cultures, it is possible to have a look at what the daily life of a Proto-Dravidian speaker probably was, as well as the society that person probably lived in. First off, a bit of scene setting. Let's have a look at the level of technology and development of these three different sources. All three sources show quite a large degree of evidence that there was a good grasp of bronze working, as well as a society that engaged in farming and long, very long distance trade. From Indus civilization finds, as well as the reconstructed vocabulary of Proto-Dravidian, they also point towards domesticated animals as being a regular part of life, as well as the construction of two-story buildings rather than simply single-story buildings. Individually also, the Banas culture engaged in quite complex pottery making, whilst the Proto-Dravidian reconstructed vocabulary have some suggestion towards the regular payment of valuable items, which may have been some kind of tax or tribute system. However, it is the Indus civilization that shows the most advanced society of any of these three sources, with signs of centralized city planning, region-wide standardized measurements of weights and lengths, and possibly even a writing system, although this last one is kind of complicated. As mentioned before, there is evidence of a massive trade network. The Banas culture only existed as one part of the general Indus trade network, so we will be looking more at the Indus finds in this situation. Pretty much all of the international interactions for the Indus culture happened through their trade network that spanned from the Fertile Crescent to Central Asia and all the way south right along the Indian coastline. Many things were traded, such as wheat, barley, sesame seeds, lapis lazuli, gold, bronze, tin, copper, so on and so on and so on. However, a huge part of this trade network revolved mainly around the jewelry industry. So precious metals, stuff like lapis lazuli, precious stones were the most traded items along this network. However, what is arguably the more complex side of Indus society, as well as reconstructed Proto-Dravidian vocabulary, is the internal structure of their societies. From Proto-Dravidian, one of the things reconstructible is a society with social stratification into several tiers. However, this isn't the kind of social stratification that would later lead on to the Indian caste system. That actually originates from a Proto-Indo-European idea in societies. This is a different kind of stratification, although it may have resulted in a similar form of society. And on a more physical side of finds made within the area of the Indus River Valley civilization, there is also other piece of evidence for complex society. There is, for instance, a very strong sense that central planning probably existed in the creation of the settlements. However, there is almost no sign of any kind of governing body, such as a king or lord or collection of people that did the high-level decisions. However, this style of central planning did show quite a strong emphasis for allowing water to be able to reach every part of a settlement, which does seem to probably have been part of the Indus religion, as well as possibly the Proto-Dravidian religion, which might suggest that the planning was done by quite a strong control by the priesthood. Speaking of religion, apart from the water, Indus religion and to an extent Proto-Dravidian religion also had an emphasis on animals and plants, and seem to have had two major deities, one god and one goddess. On an individual level, good bodily hygiene also seemed to have been a key part of religious observance. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Lima, Abat, Datlo, Dalawa, Isa.